Hello.
Hi.
You have to turn your mic off when class starts, I guess. I don't know what happened.
All of a sudden you guys were gone and then I had a hard time getting back in.
It kicked me out,
Yeah, me too.
but Margie's working on it. Hi.
I'm here. I'm glad you are, because I'm not. On what? Not you. I'm talking on your. I know, but I need volume.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Going to shut my mic off
Wonder
now.
if I'm not. Wonder if I'm not on the right. There you go. Now I can't even get to my groups. Figure out what's going on. You can find it. Yeah, we're all working.
We can see and hear you, hon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Well,
Just to let you know, we can see and hear.
okay.
Unmute or muting myself now.
Okay. I don't know why mine still says installing.
Is there a way to make Bobby's screen?
No.
When you're doing your demos?
Is there more?
Didn't hear the question.
Is there a way to make just a demo screen?
Yeah, should go up in the top corner.
I can't do that.
I don't know about on a phone. Somebody who knows it.
I'm on a computer, and so like when Bobby's doing the demo, it'd be
Whether you're in the right meeting.
big.
Well, these guys then aren't either.
Well, yeah, you are in the right meeting. I don't know where you're in the waiting.
Let me get out.
The main way to be able to watch the video is to mute, and we can just see her and the demo, and then unmute if you have a question.
My screen is frozen.
There's a gallery view.
No, your screen's not frozen. We're looking at your roof.
Are you? I know,
Yeah.
but I have this thing that's going on waiting and it says join with video and I don't know why I still have that.
We can see you plain and clear.
I don't know.
How do I know if I'm on mute?
You should be here fine.
I'm on mute.
Well, I have this little deal to go just to video.
What?
I have the little deal to go just to video. But my screen is not working. Okay, well, how many have signed on? Oh, we don't, this isn't gonna hold it. Okay, let's see what I want to see. Okay. We should be-
Nancy, do you know how to mute?
Yes.
Okay.
Before I mute, hey, Margie. Are you,
Margie?
What?
hey,
Yeah.
this is Nancy Ashley. I got the pattern and the tape in the mail, but I never got your invoice. I need to pay you for that.
She got the pattern and the tape,
The yardage tape.
Ashley.
Okay, she still needs, and what does she need?
And what do you need?
I didn't get an invoice to pay you. I need to pay for that.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, so I did not, I received the stuff in the mail, but I didn't ever pay for it. I need to pay for it.
Oh, she received it in the mail, but she didn't pay for it.
Oh, well, we'll take care of that.
Yeah, Margie's not worried. She'll take care of that.
Okay, you can just let me know how much it is.
More
and I-
worried
Sure.
if she pays for it and doesn't receive it.
Yeah, she's more worried about if you didn't get it.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you. Okay.
so
I'm
we
gonna-
ready to roll?
So Bobby, I have one quick question.
Sure.
Is when I went to the quilt store, I showed them my pattern and what I needed, and they sold me cotton thread, and I didn't realize it. Am I okay? I know we're supposed to use polyester.
Oh, I think you're okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I used, oh, what do I use? Orifil on my first bag before I really read that she thought polyester. And
Okay.
it's holding up good. So I think if you use a good thread, it's not going to matter.
It's from Italy. I don't know what thread it is, but it's.
Whoa, I think that's pretty good thread. It's really hard to break, isn't it?
It broke a few times when I was sewing, but other than that, it's been okay.
Yeah, mine did too. And I found out if I changed my needle, I had it where it wasn't sewing like a space of like 2 inches. And I changed my needle and it started working great again. So if in doubt of what's going on, change your needle.
Okay,
So, all
thank
right.
you.
You betcha. All right, so today what we are going to accomplish is we're going to cut like the mesh, the elastic. This is the one that I'm staying ahead on. And we're going to cover these strap. We're going to cover the strapping and cover it. And I hope we can get to making this pad. That's our goal. Like I said, oh, I have my walking foot back on, but I need to take it off. You don't probably have to have a walking foot for any of this. As a matter of fact, I watched Bianni sew her bag together through all those layers with just a 1/4 inch foot. So I don't know what kind of machine she has, but that's pretty incredible. I don't know that I would do that. Let me change my foot here. I should have done that before. I just didn't remember that I had it on. And I'm just going to sew with an open toe, mainly because I kind of like to see where I'm headed. My walking foot is weird on his. It's built in. You just add a foot and then it comes down and becomes a walking foot. Although I got to admit, that's the reason I bought it. I really like it. Oh, here's my. All right. So first off, if you didn't get your quilting done, no big deal. We're going to cut our quilted pieces and sew around them. But if you want to, while we're doing that, keep quilting on your pieces. Don't beat yourself up if your lines aren't exactly even. Mine aren't. And it's my bag, so I'm not gonna sweat the big stuff. I'm just not gonna worry about it. I gotta find my tabs. My little, oh, here it is. So we're gonna cut these quilted pieces into what they tell us to. So let's grab A. We'll start with A. Now, can you see this cutting mat? Yeah, okay. So like I said, mine aren't perfect. I mean, I'll guarantee you they're not perfect, but I don't strive for perfection. I strive for looking good. I mean, don't beat yourself up over little things. Otherwise, you never finish. Okay, so if this is A,
That's just me sending you pictures.
we are going to cut this into two, or a 14 by 9 and a 14 by 9. And when we get done, I want you to, there's a piece that says quilted piece front and back. Put them at the top and write top on there. If you have a top and a bottom. See, like these flowers have a top and a bottom. They are sprouting this direction. So I'm going to want to, because you think you're going to remember that, and then you're going to get all going in the bag and you'll forget. But I'm going to cut the 19 inches first, and I'm going to take off some on both sides because it didn't always turn out straight. I mean, it didn't always turn out with the same size on both sides. So I'm going to cut mine on both sides. I got to find my ruler. Oh, here it is. This is my great ruler. See, I lost the first 6 inches. I don't know where they went. But like I said, I don't really sweat the small stuff. So I'm going to even this off on this side. Let's see if I can get to where you see me. Yep. And how I'm going to do that is, actually, I think I'll do my shorter side first, because then I have a nice square edge. So let's square off the shorter side. Yeah, find my cutter. All right. Get rid of that. And now we're going to square off the long side. And I'm just going to use the bottom here to square it off.
So you've already gifted that?
Yeah, that was last.
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, how nice.
And, oh man, some of my lines are really wavy. We'll square off this end too, because I want to cut from that side.
When we sew the, when we sew
What?
the bag, which way is the 19 inch or the 14 inch?
It's 19 inches wide by 14 inches tall.
Oh, shoot, my butterflies are gonna be upside down,
Well, they shouldn't be. You mean
My side-
sideways?
sideways. Because my,
Thank you so much.
you said the 19 inches was the long way.
Right.
Okay. Yeah,
You might be surprised when we go to put it together, because you're going to put a big pocket on there and it might just look like the butterflies are flying around.
okay.
So don't fret now. I mean, let's see where it ends up, because I thought that on that other bag I did, and then it didn't really matter, because you're putting big pockets on in front of it, and those will make sure they are going the correct direction, and they'll cover that up. So
So are you doing the option one? Is that what you're doing now?
option one,
Says-
I'm doing, yes, option
Oh,
one. I'm
Okay,
cutting these pieces. Yep,
okay, thank you.
you betcha. I don't think I'm very awake yet. Okay, so Now I'm gonna take that cut end and I'm gonna line it up. And I want to go 19 inches, which is gonna take me to 14 inches over here. And if I line my bag up, oh, I don't want to do it. If I line my bag up on that cut side on a line, then I know it's gonna cut it straight. But then it's really gonna show how crooked my sewing is. Oh, well, like I said, you don't sweat the small stuff. So line it up on the line on both sides and cut it to 19 inches. Wait a minute, wait a minute. What am I doing here? Which piece is this? Is this A? This can't be right. Hang on just a second. What piece is this?
Your label is on the other side, I think.
Yeah, I had the label and I had it marked as A, but it's not A. Let me see here. This is 20 by, well, it was probably 21 by 23.
That's B.
Oh my gosh, good thing. Okay, so don't do as I did. You want to be on A. And that is this. Well, I thought that doesn't look like a very big front of my bag. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off this side. I'm gonna straighten up this side. Jeepers creepers. I sleep before I go on and man, today I slept hard. Okay, so I'm gonna even this up and you have a little room. So, you know, you can even it up 1/4 of an inch or so and it's gonna be fine. Okay. And now I'm gonna turn this around and we're gonna get off of there. Now we're gonna cut 14 inches because we're cutting the width of it. Sorry about that. Sorry, I messed you all up. Because we have this side nice and lined up. You can also decide where you want to cut because you're going to have a little bit left over if you want to cut in a different place. But just know there's going to be big pockets on it and it's going to a lot of it be covered. So we want this 14 inches wide. So I'm going to take this up to the 34. Yeah, every time we try to start the Zoom show, people walk in for the shop hop. It's crazy. Margie said she hadn't had anybody all day. And they have to walk in for the Zoom class. Okay. All right. So I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to cut my other 14 by 19 inch piece or 14 inch wide piece. And then I'm going to trim both sides. Because essentially I've trimmed both sides of this because I'm going to cut it.
Bobby, there's something hanging over your material that's confusing me.
Is it the
That-
cord?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So now I want this. And I like cutting off both ends, even if it looks really even, because then you get rid of all those threads too. Maybe you guys don't have threads all over, but I always have threads. All right. All right. And I saved these. We're going to cut off and we're going to have some other hunks because I thought maybe I'd take them and make a wallet out of them or something out of them. Annie even has a video on what to do with your what to do with your scraps. Okay, now one of these I cut. Which one did I cut? Must have been this one. All right, so I have 20 inches here, so I can take off a 1/2 inch on each end. But I've already squared up one end. I just don't remember which one. They both look okay. So I'm just gonna go for it. So I'm gonna go 14 inches. Actually, this one looks better. And I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna cut it 15 inches. So I have a 19 inches wide by 14 inches tall. And these pieces aren't real big. They aren't like the ones we're gonna get from the big piece. But now I'm gonna take this, my front and back aren't gonna matter because I mean, it's just florals. But I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna cut out from the quilted. From quilted set A, I've got front and back. So this is gonna be my front. And I pin this kind of, like I said, towards the top because I wanna remember that this is the top. And down a little way so that when I go to sew this around the edges, I don't have to move that. It's just already in the right position. Okay, now I got to cut this one to 14 inches. Oops, that's not the right side. Or to 19 inches, I'm sorry. I love using these lines. I mean, they work. I use multiple rulers sometimes too, and that works really great, but it also works to use the lines because they're pretty set in and they work. All righty. So then I'm going to put my back onto that one. And I just keep cutting them out of here. And again, let me look at this. Yeah, my flowers, this is the top. Does somebody have a question? Oh, shoot, I gotta find some pins. Then I'm just going to set that aside. Okay. Now let's move on to the piece that I was already on. At least I have some squared up corners that I can start with. So, and I just cut it just like they cut it. So I'm going to cut, what I'm going to do is these both are 9.5. And what I did is I just cut the whole thing 9.5. But remember, it's height and width. So, but I just cut the whole thing 9.5 because it's not gonna save me that much fabric, and it's just easier for me to work with. And I just work with a couple of rulers to do that. Let's see what I have here. I think I have a couple of rulers. Yeah, here's one. This is Margie's. So 9.5. So I'm going to add 3 inches onto it. And I'm going to cut this whole strip 9.5 inches. I can't work without this stuff here. See if that's all showing. Is that showing? So I just butt 2. And if you don't have a couple of rulers, or if you don't have a big working area, you can always mark it and then draw a line because no one's going to see that edge. So you can do it however you want. And then the nice thing is I can just move it up. Oh, shoot, now I cut it too big. I'm telling you, this is not going to be my night at work.
You can see 4 on your phone. You can't see everybody.
Oh, yeah, I can. Okay, so. Let me remove that because we don't need that anymore. I'm gonna slide my ruler. And like I said, I've cut a 9.5-inch strip now. Top to bottom. So I'm gonna set this piece aside that I just screwed on. It'll be fine though. And I'm gonna start cutting these pockets. And as I cut them, I'm gonna have the little pieces already cut out. So I'm going to cut pocket C. So I look on here and I find pocket C. Okay, it's right down here from the quilted cut B. And it's going to be 8.5 by 9.5. So I know that my fabric is 9.5 inches wide. So I just need to cut an 8.5-inch piece. Oh my gosh, I cut this wrong. I really did. No, 6.5 and 3. No, I'm good. Sorry. Okay, so we want to go 8.5 on this. Turn my ruler around. We're going to go 8.5 by 9. Okay. And then I just pin that on there. Again, pin it towards the top if you have a top and bottom. Does somebody have a question? All right, and we're gonna do pocket B, and pocket B is 8.5 by 9.5. Oh, no.
No, I was
No,
gonna say, no.
No, we're gonna go to 7 by 9.5. Because that's the next one down on that strip. And you can cut it any way you want, but it just seems like it makes sense to cut it the way she says to cut it. I mean, because she's got it all lined out there for you. So this one is 7 inches. So I put that on there. Oh, if I can find a pen.
Wouldn't that be 7 by 9?
Yeah, 7 by 9.5, but we already cut a 9.5-inch strip.
I thought
So,
you cut it at 9.
so that would be, so after cutting that 9.5-inch strip, then we're cutting 7 inches tall. If you look at her diagram, see, I just cut it all the way down just because it's not going to matter that much. We have enough fabric. And then you're cutting an 8.5 by 9.5, 7 by 9.5, and we're going to cut a 6.5 by 9 out of this last piece. So now we're going to take off some of the, oh, I want to do it this way. So I'm going to go 6.5 by 9. Oh, thank you. Margie got me some pins, so I wasn't messing up over here. Okay, so we know that it's 9.5. So we're going to take it to 9 and we're going to go to 6.5. And that's over here. Okay, and I'm going to get it all lined up. So I'm taking a 1/2 inch off the side, and I don't know, I have about 1.5 inches across the top that's left on that row. And that is pocket, or the B, 6 by 9 side pockets. Okay, so we're cutting 2 of them. So we must cut another one on the other side. Yep, we will. Okay. So you can add this one to it, and these are going to go on the side. But we're going to cut another one with our next strip. So our next strip, we can just as easily cut a 9.5-inch strip too, because we'll just, I gotta get rid of my screen. We'll just cut the one down to 6.5 by 9 again. Hopefully I have 9.5 there. Okay. So I'm just gonna line it up on that line at 9.5 and come down. No, I'm not gonna do it down there. Okay, so my first piece at the top right-hand side of this 21 piece is 8.5 by 9. So I want to cut this 8.5 by 9, and I'm sorry, 8.5 by 9.5. And it's just your other side pocket. So 8.5 by 9.5. All right, and that's that piece I had before, pocket B or pocket E. Pocket E, yep. Oops, I put that on upside down. And see, that's very easy to do. And then all of a sudden that's your pocket's going to be on upside down. And then we have a 5 by 9.5. Let me see. Okay. Looks like I need to change my cutter blade. All right, so that is, where's my stripping thing? Okay. This one is 5 by 9.5. And when I'm cutting these out, I try to leave little hangies so it stays together until I'm completely done. Okay. And then we have the 6.5 by 9. Right? Yes, 6.5 by 9. So. All righty, and that's the other side pocket. So I can just put them together because they're going to be okay. And I want to put it right side up. Okay. Oh, I better put them both right side up. Okay. And I'll just pin them together because we do them at the very same time. So it's not a big deal. All righty, now we're on to the big one. I'm kind of making a mess here for Margie. And the first thing that we're going to cut the lengthwise is 9 inches. Is 9 inches. Let's get that out of the way, and then we can go on from there. But we need to straighten up that side if you need to. Maybe I guess I told you to straighten up the side, but some of yours may be good. But mine, as you can see, mine end up with, I don't know, they're kind of funky on the sides. So I always trim mine up a little bit. And it's mainly just straightening a little bit. Oh, that side's off. So I got kind of curvy over on that other side. So I'm hoping that'll be the extra. But I'm just going to, first I'm going to take the end off. So I have a straight line because I can take the end off easier with my ruler than I can take the side off and straighten. So I'm going to take the end off, straighten that up. All right. And now I have a straight line to straighten up my, oh, and I put it on the wrong end. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a great night at work. So I'm going to straighten up the other end. All right. Because that's the side I want to straighten out. That side got kind of booey. Okay, so I'm going to line my ruler up down here and I'm going to straighten up this side just to make it look a little nicer. It's nothing else but cosmetics. Because it just, when you're quilting, it just gets a little ragged on that side.
Mhm.
And then I make sure that my line, I mean, I can line up at the top and it's square. And I take off the rest. Okay. So now it tells us we need to cut 9 inches all the way. So I'm going to flip it around because I don't like to cut backhanded. So I'm going to take off 9 inches and I'm going to lay my pattern down like this because then it makes sense to me when I'm cutting. So we're going to take off a 9-inch strip all the way to the top. This is all right. Because I'll just keep moving. It's all good. No, I don't have a 9-inch ruler anyway. I mean, I could add on and do 2 rulers, but I don't know. This will work. All righty. So here's my last cut. All right. Let's set this one aside. Whoa. Unless it wants to stay. Okay. And this one is the side strap. So I'm going to cut this. It's already 9 inches. I'm going to cut it 34.5 inches long. And I have 34. Well, no, I don't. Unless I move my machine. Okay. So I guess I'll just use my ruler. And I do this a lot too. I mean, just measure it with your ruler. You take a pin. I'm going to pin it. So I'm going 34.5. So if I go 17.25, or you can even, I'll just go 17. And then I stick a pin at that spot. Can you see that? And then I will do the other 17.5. And it's just pretty much my deal. So then I have 34 inches. And I'll just take the end off. All right. And that is my side strip. Now I know on this that one side, I mean, one side's going to be upside down, but my flowers aren't going to matter that much, nor are my feathers. All righty, so that is out of part C, and that is the 9 by 34 inch side strip. All righty. pull that out and I'm gonna put this in here. And it doesn't matter to me which way's up or down on this, so I'm just gonna put it somewhere in the middle so I know it's there. Okay. All righty, now let's pull up this other piece. And what we're gonna do out of it is we're gonna cut 8 inches by 24.5 inches. And then we'll split that in half. Or you can cut the 4 inches by 24.5 inches. It's up to you. And what you're doing is you're going sideways, so you don't, and it's the reason because of the quilting will all match up if you do it that way. So I'm gonna cut, first I'm gonna find 24 inches. And I'm gonna have to do that with a double ruler again because I don't have anything that's that big. I do, but the other 6 inches are somewhere. Who knows? Okay, so I'm gonna cut it at 16 inches. Or I'm gonna pin it. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm going to do another, let's see, what was it, 24? So 16, 24.5. So I'm gonna have to do 8.5 inches. And that's how big it is. And I always double check. Okay, let's see, make sure that this is really, oh, this is 17 inches. I don't know why I did 17. So it's a good thing I double checked. So it's 17 inches. So I'm only going to have to go 7.5 inches. Yeah, I tend to like to double check, you know, measure twice, cut once, because it's definitely the truth when you're cutting. Okay. So now we can just take this and cut it into 4-inch strips. And there's enough width that you're going to have a little left over. Okay, so there's one of them. And the nice thing is, if you're going to put your zipper in between here, they're going to somewhat match up. So that's what's kind of nice about cutting them, you know, together, is that they're going to match up then. So, all right, so we got 4 inches. And we're going to go the length of the. Okay, and we need, those are the zipper strips is what they're called. Just pin those together and set them aside. Okay, so now we need to cut 2 8.5 by 3 and 1 6.5 by 3. So you can do this however you want. I mean, you have plenty of fabric here. Oops. How much do I have? You have 9.5, 9, 10 inches of fabric. So you can just cut 3 inches. Whoops, I'm gonna be on the right side. 3 3-inch strips and cut them down, or else you can do them the way they are and do 3 inches by 8.5. And that way you're gonna have a big hunk at the end that you're not wasting. It's up to you. Okay, so there's one. I set them aside. And these are your padding on your shoulder strap. Okay, and there's two. And now this one is only 6.5. So it's 3 inches by 6.5. All right. All right, so then we're going to cut that little piece out, and that is the straps, or the carrying straps. And it takes a pretty good pin to go through all three, but at least try and catch the back one. And if you just catch it, it'll stay together. Or you can clip it. Yeah. I don't know why I pin them. I guess because I want them out of the way. All right. So now what we need to do is we're going to get our zippers ready. We're going to cut our interfacing and our strapping. So, and we're going to do our binding. So let me grab that over here. Let's start with the zippers. First, I have to figure out how long that was. I like to get these done and set them aside, and then you don't have to worry about them. What size zippers did I need? Oh yeah, I need 10-inch or longer and 10 and 20. 10 and 20, and then the full size zipper. And my zippers are green and black, but I'm going to change I'm going to make the black pulls green, and the black zipper is my main zipper. So it's going to be, oh, she has stops on both sides of these. Well, too bad, too sad. I'm going to change mine. Oh, I'll bet you can't. No, they won't come over the top of the stop. And you need the tabs to hook up the new tabs.
So you pull one tab down to the 20 and then you leave the one in the 10. You'll sew over the end of the one for the 10.
Right, but I don't have these tabs. You pull this apart about 3 inches and then you put it on. Okay, well, plan B. This is going to be my zipper for my bag. So I don't need to do anything to that. So we're just going to stick I think there's well, maybe there isn't. I thought there was a tab for that. But on this one is 30 inches, and we need to pull this all the way to the other end. And we need to mark off 10 inches. And we're going to cut 10 inches off of this. And let me see if it's 30 inches from stop to stop. It pretty much is 30 inches from stop to stop. So go from the back of the stop. Here, let me get out here. Go from the back of the stop, and you're going to go out here 10 inches.
And you only pulled one tab.
And I only pulled one tab. I want one tab on each end. Yeah, I want
The other.
one pull tab
The
there.
zipper's
and one-
open?
It will be open when you pull the tabs to the ends.
Okay,
Yeah. So pull one tab to one end and one tab to the other. On the one that's going on your main bag, you don't have to worry about it. It's big enough. It's the right size. We're going to end up cutting it later when we put it in, but it's good to go. Now this one, put the tabs on each end, lay it down, and we're going to go from the back of this zipper stop. We're going to go 10 inches. So we're going to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And that's 30. Oh, I had it on 20. And
okay, Bobby, from the back, you mean you want the stop To be part of
stop.
your measurement?
Yeah, inside of the zipper. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not going to matter that much because it's just a little bit. I mean, it's 1/8 of an inch or so. Okay, hang on just a second. All right, so once you find that 10 inches, it's up to you. You can use your rotary cutter and cut it, or you can use a pair of, these are scissors that we don't use for, I mean, we open boxes and stuff with them. So I use my rotary cutter, but I pretty much cut everything. So you just line it up.
Count that again.
Why did it move? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, and you just line them up, and we're just gonna whack it in half, or whack it in. Actually, it's thirds. All right. Now you have this open end on that end. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, actually, we should have done this different, but this will work too. We're gonna take this and we're just gonna sew along this end. It doesn't matter what color thread you're using or what you're doing, because it's not gonna matter, but kind of make sure that it's even, you know, or that the zipper is gonna pull even in the middle. So take it over and just put it down underneath your foot. And so, oops, I'm gonna find my foot feed. Oh, cheapers, it's clear over there. And just sew it in. Oh, see, we should have done this different.
If we haven't cut yet, do you want us to do it different?
Yeah, if you haven't cut yet, let me tell you a different way to do it. Let me find a, anyway, so we'll figure it's on this black zipper. So if you haven't cut yet, what you do is take a pin and draw a line at that spot where you're going to cut, and then sew 1/8 of an inch on each side of it. It's still going to be open. It's still going to be a little more to work with, but you're not going to have floppy ends. So draw the line of where you're going to cut, and then just sew 1/8 of an inch on either side. And you're just sewing back and forth and back and forth.
And do we have it
You're just-
open while we do that?
What?
Do we have it open or closed while we sew?
It's going to be open because when you pull your zipper pulls to the end, it's going to be open, and then it'll close towards that new stop.
Yeah, it would have to be, yep.
And you just sew back and forth and create a stop. And it doesn't have to be fancy because no one's ever going to see it, but this is how it ends up. It's not fancy. And we're going to be sewing over this again when we put it in the bag. So it's just a matter of getting it so that the tab doesn't come off. So it's all good. And then we're going to do the same with the other one. And then we're just going to set them aside. But yeah, it's so much better if you draw the line and then sew on each side of the line. But like I said, and sewing on those zipper teeth are hard on your needles too, but we're not going to do much anymore. So then I have those 2 zippers and they're ready to go. I actually have all 3 of my zippers ready to go. Maybe there is a zipper. You would sure think there was, but I don't see it. Okay. So. And we'll just set those aside because we're not gonna mess with those till we start on the pockets. Let me get some of my mess out of here. All righty. And then let's cut a little mesh.
Can we go back to the 2 cut zippers? Sorry.
You bet. Let me just do it with my zipper for my other bag. because I didn't get them done. Okay, so. Okay, all else fails, use a cutter.
I'm more confused on trying to figure out how long to cut 'em in.
On what now?
I'm confused on where to cut because you've got the tabs on the ends. So should it be 10 inches of zipper
Yes.
or?
Yes. So what I'm gonna do is, here's my 20-inch zipper. I'm gonna pull one tab all the way to the other end, which is gonna open up this zipper. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just the way they've got them on here. All right, so now I'm going to take, and I'm gonna measure from the back. I'm gonna put the back of the stop here. And I'm gonna measure over 10 inches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, then I'm gonna hold that together. And you can use whatever you want, a pin, a Sharpie, whatever you want. And I'm gonna draw a line there. Okay, so now when I go to my sewing machine, I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch on each side of these zippers. Then when I get that done, I'm gonna cut them. So first I'm gonna take this to my sewing machine, and now I don't have floppy edges on one end. It's gonna be easier, especially after you get the first one sewn. So you just line up the lines on your sewing machine. And like I said, I'm just gonna sew a stop. And truly, this is the best way to cut a zipper up. Okay, so I got that side done. So see, I've sewn on this side of the line. Now I'm gonna sew on the other side. And it's easier now because it's not wanting to pull apart on me. But you can sew close to the line. I mean, I just give it 1/8 of an inch. It's not gonna matter either way. Okay, and now I've got both of my stops made on either side of that line. And now I can go in here and just cut on the line. And I have my 2 zippers. They're not super strong. I mean, it's not a metal clip like this end, but we're gonna sew them in anyway. So the zipper is gonna be shorter than the actual the zipper in your bag is gonna be a little shorter than the actual zipper. So you don't have to worry about being super strong because we're gonna sew through them again. And I always, when I go through a zipper, you know, as I'm sewing it in, go over it 2 or 3 times. It just doesn't hurt, except this end, because you got to remember there's going to be a metal stop at that end. But that's probably the easiest way to do this. Plastic in my mouth. I have plastic in my mouth. All right, let me put those back with that. All righty, so we ready to move to the mesh? Why not? All right. So if you open your bag of mesh, or if you have a cut of mesh, it doesn't matter. And you have to decide whether you're going to do just your elastic, what do they call it? No, you got to decide whether you're going to do just your slip pocket with mesh, or you can do your zipper pocket with mesh too. It's up to you. But you should have a 1/2 yard by 60 inches. So you're not going to use this much. What's really nice about mesh is you can line it up on your cutting board and cut it because you can see right through it. This one's got a little bendy on that side, so I'm going to cut from this side. But this says that with the mesh, I'm only going to use this for my slip pocket. So for the slip pocket, it says I need, and if it's mesh, there's a cotton or there's a fabric one and a mesh one. So you want to find the mesh one. We go down here to, see, here's, if you're going to do it in fabric, it takes 2 8 by 20 inch pieces. But if you're going to do it in mesh, it takes 8.5 by 20 inches. So that's what I'm going to cut, is 8.5 by 20 inches. And I'm just gonna use the line up on the board. Everything in this bag is somewhat forgiving, so I'm just gonna line these up and I'm gonna cut along my lines. So I know I need it 8.5 by 20 inches. So first I'm gonna cut my length and I'm gonna cut it 8.5 inches tall. Probably not with the crooked side of my ruler. Whoa. All righty. Line that back up because it got cut a little bit off. And I'm just going to come across here at 8.5. Because I've got it lined up down here. I've got it lined up on the ends. I'm just going to cut my mesh. If
That
you
was
have a
20 by 8.5, right?
20 by 8.5. Yep.
Thank you.
And mesh is so easy to cut because you can see right through it. All right. And then the rest of the mesh, you can just fold up and put it back, unless you're gonna make the zipper pocket out of mesh. I saw one of her bags made that way. That was kind of cool. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you can either make the zipper pocket out of mesh or fabric. You should have enough. Does everybody have enough of the coordinating fabric to cut that pocket?
I think so. I do. I think I do.
19 by, you should, because you got an extra half yard. Okay, where's my mesh? Okay, so now we need to find our fold over elastic. And we're going to cut an 18-inch piece out of this. And a shy 18, because the more that it gathers, the better it's going to lay. So if it's a little shy, that's okay too. And then I always finger press it shut because it's just easier when I go to start sewing if you finger press it shut. Whoops. I have a bad habit of not closing my cutters because all of my grandkids are in their teens, but when kids were little, it's a bad habit.
It's a bad habit, no matter what age you are.
Yeah, Margie says that to me all the time. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pin one end. I gotta find my pins again. Okay, pretty much. Okay, we're gonna pin one end and it's just fold over. So it's just even, you know, you're just folding over. And we're gonna take it down and we're gonna fold over the other end at the other end of the elastic. And you want them to be even. And this I just sew nice and slow. And I just sew it as I just keep going as I am folding. And the ends, can you see my sewing machine at
No,
all?
no,
Okay.
I can't.
Okay, let me. Oh. So I'll get it started on that end and then I'll start. Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll get it started on the one end, just back and forth a little bit. And then as I start pulling it, I just sew a little slower. So I'll go back and forth. I really want to catch it because it's mesh, you know, so you're not sewing fabric to fabric. And then I just pull it tight and I know where this is supposed to land. So I go up here and I'll fold over because I know that that's where it was supposed to land. And you're just sewing this on. And then I'll come back here and I'll pull it again and I'll get another piece ready.
What's the length supposed to be for the elastic?
18 inches. So
Okay.
it just gives it a little give, but not a lot. Because your mesh is stretchy too. But if you do that a little bit at a time, it's really hard to pin to mesh and get it to pin. So if you just stretch a little bit at a time and get it worked in there nice, it just works so much better that way. And then you just sew along with both of those edges meeting. And now I'm pretty well close to the end. Well, no, not really. I got about 10 inches. I'm probably halfway. So now I come up here and I work on this little bit. And I just take it nice and slow.
Which pocket are we sewing this on?
Pardon? This is the slip pocket.
The slip.
This is the inside pocket, and we're going to make 3 pockets on the one side out of this. Yeah, it's called a slip pocket. Or if you want to, you can make it out of fabric too. You don't have to make it out of mesh. But the mesh is kind of cool because you can see through it. You know, if you're
all of mine in mesh, and so I'm just trying to figure out which one.
Oh, so this is called the slip pocket. This is 8 by 20. If you're going to do all yours in mesh, then
Okay, it was the 8.5 by 20 that we're putting this elastic on top.
right.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the 8.5 by 11. And where did it say that? It says if you're going to use mesh for your other pocket, you just need a 3 by 20 and a 12 by 20. You don't need 2, like if you're using fabric.
Okay. Thank you.
And I don't know, I haven't decided whether to do that. The last bag I used fabric, but maybe it'd be fun to do that in mesh and just see what it turns out like. And then you just keep stretching till you get to the end. All it's doing is giving it a little give. And then when I get to the end, of course, I'm going to go back and forth and back and forth. Wow, I have pins. What? I have pins now. And all it looks like, so it doesn't have to be perfectly gathered, but just make sure you've cut both sides. I mean, that is important because you don't want that to come apart. Nothing would be worse than having to sew inside a bag. But then you can just set that aside too. Let's see, where's my scissors? Because this is the slip pocket. Oh no, I made it out of mesh. So this is my slip pocket.
Can you go back over the sizes for the zippers again?
Sure. 10, you cut one of this, you leave one of the zippers alone. One of them is for the bag. And the other one, you measure you measure 10 inches over. So like this one is, you have a 20-inch zipper and a 10-inch zipper. The 20-inch zipper will go inside, the 10-inch zipper goes outside on your pocket. These are pocket zippers.
Okay, thank you.
So you betcha. All righty, now strapping. We're gonna have to cut some stuff. It's strapping. All right. What else did we need? Or we could do the binding, either way. We'll do the strapping. Well, let me find my binding. My binding is black, so it's hard to see well on it. Let me find it. Let's pull out our bind. Is everybody up to where we're at? Okay. So your binding piece of fabric should be 22 by 22. We cut it a little bigger than she did. So what we're gonna do is we're going to cut this diagonally. And if you don't have a really long ruler to do that, you can always fold it in half, line up your corners, and you can cut it with the scissors because it's not gonna make that much difference. Or you can just take this and take off 1/8 of an inch.
So then
What?
a little closer.
So see, I folded this in half like a handkerchief twice. And I want to end up with 2 big triangles. So I'm gonna cut the double triangle. Oh, let's just do it right. Let's just cut it. So if you line up this point over here, because I've cut it wrong before. So let's just, you can either cut this with the scissors. I know a lot of people do that, or I'm just gonna cut off 1/8 of an inch.
I can't really see how you have yours laid out.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. You just fold it kitty corner like this. So it's corner to corner. And then we're
You have
just,
a big triangle.
you have a big triangle. You have an isosceles triangle. I think. I don't know.
Wow.
It's been a while. I think no, it's an equilateral triangle because both sides are equal. Sorry. It has been a while.
Are we using the bias binding piece of material?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are. And it should be a big square. Yes. And you're just folding it over corner to corner or one corner to one corner and making a big equilateral triangle. And it should look like this.
You have to.
I'm sorry, I'm the math teacher. It's not equilateral.
So that they can see kind of the whole triangle.
Like
It
that.
is isosceles, Bobby.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because equilateral means they're all the same size.
Yeah.
Oh, jeepers.
It's a 90-degree.
It's tough when you got a math teacher here.
It's a handkerchief.
It's a triangle.
There we go.
So, yeah, once you get that long ways cut, so just take 1/8 of an inch off of it. Or you can slit it with your scissors like you do a fat quarter. I guess you guys probably don't slit many fat quarters like we do, but,
Okay,
and
so
then-
we're cutting from one corner diagonally to the other corner?
yes, we're cutting the long side of the triangle.
Okay.
There's only one fold. If you fold corner.
Yeah,
to
there's
corner,
only
there's
one fold, corner to corner. So you're cutting the fold off. You're cutting the fold off 1/8 of an inch.
So that you now have 2 triangles.
And when you work with black, I can never tell the front from the back on Kona black. But to me, that's good. That means nobody else will be able to either. Okay. Okay, and then we're gonna put these two together so that they make, we always said in our quilting class, a lady's butt. She's got her legs here. Here's so you want to go, you're putting a short side on a short side, but a triangle to a straight side and about 1/4 of an inch. And I always pin that. Or you can clip it, but I always pin it. And then I go over to the other side and I pin it about, and there should be a triangle to a straight side on the other side also. But it never hurts to throw in a few pins. It just doesn't. And then I'll pin maybe a couple of times across.
Okay, once you cut the fold off, can you show me again what you're?
Yes, then then I am putting a pointed side to a straight, to a top of a triangle, or a bottom of a triangle to the top of a triangle, same way at the bottom. And what it forms is
Right
this.
sides together?
Yes, right sides together. We're making a long diagonal binding piece. Yeah, right sides together.
Did you say to begin with, you cut a 22.5 by 22.5? The binding?
Right, right. If you didn't, if you cut it 20.5 by 20.5, you're still gonna be okay.
Okay,
But we are gonna cut our binding 2.5 inches instead of what they say. I
okay.
think she says 2.25, and that extra, or she might even say 2, but that extra will really help when you're winding it around that bag and you have 8 fabrics and 2 soft and stables, and sometimes you have 3 soft and stables and 10 fabrics. So,
Jeez.
all right. So you should be able to, if you stood it up, you'd have a flag. One hanging down one way, straight line, one hanging down the other way, straight line. And it looks just like somebody's legs. Looks like the fat lady's butt. So, like I said, then pin a corner, and you want to pin it so that when you're sewing, you're starting off taking with that corner, because that corner will overhang on each side, and it'll overhang on each side, one side on the top, one side on the bottom.
And what size seam?
It doesn't matter, but I would sew a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
Mainly because that's just the norm, you know, but somewhere around a 1/4 inch. I don't have a 1/4 inch foot on, but I'll sew somewhere around that. All right. And now we're gonna hook them together.
Before you cut that, I kind of straighten it out, and I think they can see.
All right. So then we have a parallelogram, I think.
We have another shape.
We have another shape. And it should have points at the top and a point at the bottom, and it should be one long piece with angles on each end. Because we sewed this piece right here together. All right. Okay, and at this point, it's up to you. You can press this, or you can use your fingernail. I tend to finger press my binding, but you want to press the seam open. And I should just start running my fingernail on it, and it really does press it open enough, because you're going to end up pressing it anyway. One thing I learned from Bianni is she never, when she puts her binding on, she doesn't press it. She doesn't press it in half. She lets it flow, because she says it'll flow better that way. So I don't know. I'm going to try it. She's been at this a long time.
You mean, so I see a little more of what you.
Okay. And like I said, if you have your iron and you can press it, that's great too. We will be doing a little pressing on the next step with the strapping anyway. And now I have these.
Should one of my triangles be reversed?
Yeah, what they are is
So
there's
it's
a
right
mountain
sides
and then
together.
a valley.
Oh,
So see,
okay.
there's a mountain and a valley. It's hard to see on this black, I'm sorry. But one of the triangles is up, one of the triangles is down.
So I should sew them right sides together?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Okay.
Watch your time. It's a quarter to one.
I know. All right. So once you finger press that out, I mean, I just finger pressed it out, but if you have your ironing board set up, it does always press nicer. But now we're going to cut our bias spine. And we're going to cut it. I'm going to start at the bottom and cut up. You can cut it any way you want, but we're going to cut on this parallel. We're going to cut parallel to these two edges. So we're always going to have a diagonal at the end. And we're going to cut it 2.5 inches. Is this showing, Marge?
You might want to mark their pattern with that, because that's your change to their pattern.
I did. We talked about it last week.
Yeah. Sorry, I was busy.
So just line up your piece and we're going to cut 2.5 inches. And we're going from one triangle to the other. We're not going along the triangle. We're going across the triangle or across. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
If we only cut 20.5 by 20.5, can we still cut at the?
Yes, you'll have enough.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I did the first time. And then I decided I was going to cut my bias binding 2.5, and I had plenty of bias binding. Okay, so there's my first strip. And they should all be about the same length. But you'll see there's it's down on one side and up on the other. And I'm sure a lot of you have cut bias binding. This is by far the easiest way to cut bias binding. There is a way to cut continuous, but we're not going to get into that today. Okay, and then we just cut another piece along that. Man, my cutter is really dull. I hit a pin when I was cutting the last time, and my cutters never get dull. They just get executed. And just keep working your fabric over, because it's on the bias now, so it tends to want to be a little funky, which is what you want when you're sewing it on, but not when you're trying to cut it. Okay. Whoops, got another string. You can always tell, right, where that cutter hits, where that pin hit. Okay. And I just keep cutting till I'm out of bias binding. So did you cut your straps pieces 4¼ inches? If you didn't cut your binding 22?
No, because I had cut before you cut last week.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, you may have to do the straps her way. the sewing the seam and pulling them inside out, because without that extra 1/4 inch, you don't have a lot of give. And like I said, she's been at this a lot of years. I think I'm older than she is though, but that's how she says to do it. So, I mean, it works just fine. It's just, this is how I do my straps because it's just so easy. And you just keep cutting along. And then we're going to set one piece aside for our and the rest of it, we're going to hook together end to end. Yeah, this makes a lot of bias binding. So you don't have to worry about not having enough. All right, one more, should get one more. Okay. So
Hey, Bobby, I'm just starting to cut the bias binding. Did you do 2.5, did you say?
2.5, yes, yes. All right, are we getting close? All right, so then we're going to sew these pieces together. And of course, we're going to sew right sides together. And if you remember, we're just going to sew them just like we sewed that big piece. So there's a little triangle on one side and a little triangle on the other. And always make sure it's going to open up square. So it keeps going the right way. And we're just going to sew all of these pieces but one together. Save one, because we're going to use that to bind the strapping pad. And try and grab one that doesn't have there's a seam right at the end of this one. But when I add to this, then that seam will be a long way from the end, or actually there'll be two. So then you just sew these. We're just going to hook these together, and we're just going to keep adding. So then I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to grab another one. I do want to make sure I've got right sides together. That's pretty crucial.
You don't want that seam on the outside.
No, you don't want to fight that seam on the outside. And here I didn't. I can't tell what my right side is. Oh, this is the right side. This is the right side. So then you just keep hooking them together and chain sewing. Does someone have a question? Now I have another piece. I'm just gonna, I know that this is my right side.
Yeah.
So I take this right. What?
Jeanette.
Oops. And then you just sew these together end to end so they form one big continuous piece of bias binding.
Can you show how you put your two biases together,
You betcha.
please?
So here
This is all new.
Here's my seam that I cut through, you know, when I was making this strip.
Oh,
So I know
okay.
that this is the right side. So I'm going to take this end. And I know that on this piece, this is the right side because I've got a seam on the back. So then you just line them up opposite.
And we take
And
three
again-
pieces.
What?
We do three strips together.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
Got
then
it.
just sew from tip to tip, or you know, so make sure you have triangles hanging over on each side, and then sew from the point to point, and it just makes a continuous piece of binding. Oops. Get that on. And then when I get done with these, I cut them apart. I don't hardly ever use scissors, except my little ones, and I can't find them. So can't find my stylus either, Margie. Yeah, I did. All right. And I just press those seams open that I just sewed with my thumb. I mean, as long as you have them, you know, I'll just take my nail and press them open, and you can get a really good press with your fingernail. And I just go to the next. Oh yeah, or if you have a seam roller, that works really great too. Just for something this little, and it's just not all that super important, I don't run to the ironing board. Because nowadays they have these automatic shutoffs. And I know that's a really safety thing, but doggone it, every time I get back up to iron, my iron shut off. So it works just as good to just finger press these now. And then when you're getting ready to put them on, they'll trying to make sure all my seams are running the correct way. I've done that before too. And I've also been sewing it on and found a seam on the wrong side. So especially when like this is black. When you have a design, it's a little harder to. Alrighty. And then I just throw that aside. And that's my bias binding. There may be is there a tag for that? I don't think so. But anyway, that's our bias binding, and it can just be put aside. We'll leave this one out or we'll leave this one close because that's the one we're going to put around our strap pad. So you always have one that you're going to put around your strap pad.
Okay.
All right, how we coming?
Question on the sewing the binding together. So we had diagonal seams,
Right.
but now
Yes.
we're having vertical seams.
So No, you're attaching it so that it goes on and on and on. And you can accidentally but so you'll take this one and then you'll put this one the opposite way. Just like we did on our big triangles. I wish I wasn't working with black because black just does not show very well. But as you can see, then you're sewing a diagonal and then you'll have a diagonal on your for your seam rather than a straight up and down.
Yep, okay.
And it'll be a lot easier to sew because you're not sewing through seams. You're throwing on both sides. You're sewing through a seam here. And then further down the road, you're sewing through another seam. But yeah, just match them up right sides together with the bottom of the angle at the top of this angle and then at the top of this angle, just so you have two little triangles at the end. And you sew from the point on this one to the point on this one. And then it'll just make it continuous. Oh, we have to cut interfacing too. Well, I want to work on these handles so that we have homework on the handles.
I'm not the one that had the deadline.
I know.
So for the bias, you said right sides together, but I don't know why mine aren't matching
So go to the other end.
to put them together. See?
Right. Take the other end of that fresh strip and it'll probably go together then.
No, she's not got it right.
Okay. So if you take it and you have one deal down or one, so you're going to have the mountaintop over here on this one. And then on this one, you have the mountaintop down below. Or you're going down into the valley. So just line them up. Oh no, that's not. You just line them up so that you have this mountaintop at the bottom of that mountain.
Now you went too far. Yes. There we go.
But what you do is you line them up and you're just sewing the longest angle.
Oh, okay. I think I have it.
If we don't do all the strips, we keep one out for some reason.
You can keep one or you can put them all together and we'll just sew off of one end. It doesn't matter. I mean, it really, really doesn't matter. It's just.
Most of them don't take that long a piece, do they?
No.
It's just nicer to have them all together.
Well, the only place you're going to use it is on the handle strap and around the bag.
Oh, so you do need a long piece.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the only place you use the bias binding because you have binding cut for your pockets. You don't need bias. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those strips on the top and bottom on the pocket are not, and on the sleeve, you don't use bias. All righty, how we coming? I really want to get to the straps. And what I'll tell you this week is if we didn't sew around these pieces, this week you need to sew 1/8 of an inch around all those quilted pieces that we cut earlier, you know? It just catches them. Even if there's already a 1/8 of an inch sewn there, just sew over it. But sew 1/8 of an inch around all these pieces. And then when we go to work with them, you don't have to worry about stitching coming out or it having any problems. But I thought we'd do that in class, but it just we're not gonna have time. But I really want to show you how to do these straps. And let me show you the straps from, these are the straps I made from my other bag. And a strap pad. And I ended up having to use black hardware because I didn't have a clip that was big enough, but it won't matter. But this is where we're going to put our hardware on too.
And Carol Linson needs a slider, so she'll have to wait for that part till we get her slider.
Okay, and we'll hit those next week.
Yeah.
We're just going to make the
Oh.
straps this week. Okay, so you ready to learn about straps? So first of all, we want to cut them. We need one of these by 42 inches long. And it can be longer than that. It doesn't matter. It can be longer than that. This is the big carrying. No. I'm sorry. One of these by, let me get to my page. One of these by 58 inches long, 2 41 inches, and 2 13s. So I got my strapping on a roll, but you'll have probably about a yard extra on yours. So if you want to cut the 58, I'm going to cut, yeah, see how long this is. So this is 36 inches. So I know this is 36. It's always better to cut it a little big because your fabric's going to be a little big and it's not going to make any difference. So 36, I need 22 inches. So I'm going to go back up here to 4. Wait a minute, this can't be 36 inches wide, is it? No, it's 24 inches wide. It's 36 inches across. Okay, so 24, 48. And then I just come up here and I'm going to do 10 inches. Actually, I'm going to do 11 just to have enough. And then I just cut the strapping. It doesn't matter whether you cut it with the scissors or but here's my long piece.
And that was
Now I'm
50
going to cut 2 41 inches. So that is 24. What?
The first one was 58.
Yes. 24. Always cut your longest thing first. Always. Because it's always easier to, I don't know. I guess this would be easy to piece, but so
What's the next
24.
one?
What?
What's the next one? You got 58. and then-
41. 2 41 inch pieces. Wait, 24 and what is 41? 17? Yes, so we want to go to 9. So, and like I said, you can always cut it just a little longer. And you can cut it with your cutter, you can, but we need 2 of those 41 inches. Those are our handles. All right, so we need another 41 inch. Oops, I need 17. So. And then I need 2 13-inch pieces. And this is for the side. So I go from 13 and like I said, you can make it a tad longer if you want. The fabric always ends up a tad longer. Okay, so let's set that aside.
Where are we at on the instruction sheets?
Um,
Page number 5, I suppose.
let's see. We are on page number 4, section 3, prepare straps and handles.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You betcha. Okay, now once you get that all cut,
So it's 158, 241, and what was the last one?
213s. I gotta find my 13s. All right, I'm gonna bring my ironing board over here and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. Well, first, one of these has to be hooked together. On this coordinating fabric, there's one that's 3 3/4 by 42, and you just hook it onto the end of 3 3/4 by 18. I guess I'm not sure if you can hook it on ladder, I mean, like with a triangle. You should be able to, because you're going to 58. No, that's only 60 inches. So just hook it onto the end. Sew it together on the end, and then just press the seam open. Well, daggone it, where is my foot? All right, so this is our very long one, and I'm just gonna press the seam open in that with my thumb again. Although I'm gonna move my ironing. Oh, Marge is getting me a pad. Will that hurt this cutting?
What?
Will it hurt this
Not-
cutting?
you're not gonna sew iron press forever, are you?
No,
Okay, we just take one of the 42-inch and because we have two of them, we just take one and hook it to the 18, or do we do both?
no, no, no. Those 42 inches are your handles. They say handles on them, see?
Yeah.
So those are handles. What I want you to use is the one that says carrying strap. 1 3/4, 1 42-inch, and 1 18-inch. We're just sewing those two together.
Okay.
There should have been 3 pieces of this fabric.
Right. So the 142 and the 18 that were hooked together. Got
I
it.
said I have.
Oh, I think you said you couldn't find it.
And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to do this with the, we're going to do it on the 13-inch. And the 13-inch has, oh, let me get rid of these pins so I don't. The 13-inch has one finished end. And if you just look at the bag, you understand what I'm talking about. Your handles will have no finished ends, and your carrying strap will have 2 finished ends. Because we're going to have a hook on one side and we're going to have the strap on the other. So when I say finished ends, I mean, we're going to start out pressing this 1/4 inch. Get an iron over here. So we're going to press the end 1/4 inch so that we have a finished end. She doesn't put a finished end on hers. I just don't like when things start raveling on me. So we're going to do this one the same way. We're just going to sew, or we're going to press 1/4 inch across the end and just let it press. All right.
What piece of material are you on?
This is the, what was that called? This is the carrying strap tabs, and this is the 13-inch piece. It should be 13 by 4 1/4. Or if you cut it like the pattern, it'd be 13 by 3 3/4.
Okay, the 14 by 3 3/4 for 2 of them.
Oh yeah, I guess it is 14. We're gonna end up with 13.
Okay.
I don't know why they have you cut the strapping 13 and the fabric 14 unless they think you're gonna make a mistake. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. All right, so what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna show you how to do it the way I do handles. If you're gonna do it the way she does it, it's just a matter of seaming it. If you didn't cut it this big, you're just seaming it and pulling your handle through. How I do a handle is, so I will tuck this piece up here under this. Oh no, first I have to sew, sorry. First we have to press down 1/4 inch on one side. Man, I am just scatterbrained today. But just press, 1/4, somewhere around 1/4 inch on one side of it. And then the same with this one. We're going to do the same thing. Because we've already done the top. Did everybody press that down? So we've already done the top. Or across the top, across the short way. And now we're doing the long way. Okay, so what we're going to do is, am I in the middle of the? This is how I do handles. It's so much easier than, so I just figure about halfway on the handle. I'm going to put this over this, and then I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to clip it. You can pin it, you can clip it, you can do whatever you want. Unless you can't get your clips to come out. But I clip it all the way down. And a little over halfway. Not much, just a little. So that it pulls tight. And we're going to start on this short handle so I can show you what to do.
Is
Okay.
that white part the stripping? Is that what?
What now?
Is the white part or is the stripping that we have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I only have white.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Why is this so big? This feels too big. Okay. I gotta see if this was cut too big. Yeah, it is. So let me trim that. I gotta trim this really quick, and then I'll be right back.
So the piece that she's trimming right now, can y'all hear me?
Hang on, Nancy, she
Okay.
went to trim her pieces. She'll be
Okay.
right back.
Okay, but I have a question. As far as the one she's trimming, it's not the 42 inch and the 18 inch she sewed together, is it?
No.
No, it's the 14 inch.
She's moved on to,
I'm lost.
They're called carrying strap tabs.
okay, so the other two that we sewed are supposed to sew together. I think
That's a long 58-inch piece.
42.
That's what you're gonna,
18.
that's what you're gonna put your 58-inch piece in. You know,
Oh, so you're
we-
doing another portion.
yes,
Basically the same thing. It's just shorter ones.
right. We're just gonna start with the shorter ones.
Okay.
All right, so let's start over a little bit. So we'll clip here on the top just because,
The first
and then you just start clipping down a little over halfway. And you can try this with the 3 3/4. I don't know if I cut mine any wider or not. And then what you'll do is you're just going to bring this over and line it up over here and catch it with your, man, I wish I weren't working with black. But you just bring this finished side over or the folded side over, and then you just clip. I mean, you just clip it there. And then you have a seam that you're going to sew up, because you're going to sew, and you can always go up, and if they're not straight all the way down, you just kind of finger pull them, and they'll finger pull for you. And don't worry if the end is not totally beautiful, because most of the ends we're going to turn like this, and we're going to put a piece of hardware in it. But I always try to get at least this inside piece tucked in. I mean, if I have to fold it over a little bit, I'll tuck it in.
Maybe
Are
during
we
the week
catching
can
the
do a
strap?
Video with lighter colored fabric. just for the
Yeah,
strap.
do you want me to do a video in the week with lighter color fabric so you can see this better? I never even
Yeah.
thought about this being black. I truly,
Yes, please.
truly,
Yes.
it's hard to work. Let me see if I've got.
Do we sew the strap in there, or do we leave it a little bit? I know the strap's in there, but is there a distance, or does the strap get stuck, get with the sewing?
Well, so then what I do is I have this about 1/4 of an inch on this side. And if I have to, go back through and finagle a little bit,
Okay.
to make it 1/4 of an inch all the way, or a little less than 1/4 of an inch. Then I'll sew a 1/4 inch seam on this side across the top, 1/4 inch seam on this side. And this is unfinished. So you can sew across the bottom if you want, but you don't have to. Plus there's always extra fabric. They have more fabric than you have. But
Is
then
the
you
wa-
have a finished strap. But yeah,
Is-
we can make a quick video with a shorter. And what would be nice is if you have the pieces all sewn around, and then I'll get this video up. We'll get this video up tomorrow of how to do this, because we'll just use a light piece of fabric here. Well, let me just.
Does the strap inside, does it get sewn? Or do
Yes.
we leave?
Sewn in.
Okay,
Okay. So this will be a little easier to see. Let me get, I've got another strap. So I'm going to take this fabric. I know one side is going to be finished, so I'm going to press that one side. Get it to press down. This fabric's kind of wrinkled. Then I'm going to press one long side, about 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't matter, it's 1/4 of an inch, close to 3/8, but it sure makes handles a lot easier to make if you do them this way. I can't even remember what I learned this on, somebody's bag, but so then what I'll do is I tuck this up under here and over here, because I'm going to fold it, and I will clip that just so it stays. And then you just bring this over halfway, and I clip it on the way down. And I don't press it until I've got it all the way done. This is a little more than over halfway, but that's okay, because like I said, we can finagle it when we get to the end. Okay. Then you bring this piece that's folded up and lock it in. And see here, it's a little less, but all you have to do is just work it with your thumbs, and it'll work it up to where you want it. Of course, after you take the clip off, but then it'll work it up to where you want it. Whoops. And if you want your seams closer to the edge, I mean, you can work it up to where you're only sewing right along there. This is your preference. Where do you want your stitches on your outside of your tabs? You know, if you want them that close, that's fine. If you want them further back, then it's just a matter of putting that. I like to do handles this way. I mean, to me, this is a whole lot easier than taking a 58-inch piece. And then I'll always sew on this side first, down and across and up. And if you want to sew across the bottom, like I said, they give you extra inches here, or you can just whack that off. But if you leave it on, it's just more in that to help in that seam. So, because we're going to hook these are the straps that come up and hold the ring so that you can clip into your bag. So it doesn't hurt to have that extra fabric in there. It's not gonna bother anything. So, but that's how I make my handles. You know, we'll do one more. But you just, and it doesn't matter how long they are, but just remember that you're gonna need a finished end on the end of one of your side straps, which is this one, the 13-inch. And on the long strap, you want both ends finished. So you will have to cut it to size. I mean, you will have to cut it to the right size when you get down to the other end. And it's just a matter of getting down to that other end and then, you know, figuring how much you're going to fold over and then cutting it. But again, I did this one backwards, but where's my other, my other 13 inches done. Oh, well, it doesn't take, but this just goes so fast. And you get a perfect handle every time. My problem with turning them inside out too is unless you sew a perfect seam all the way down, sometimes the binding is in there really tight. Sometimes it's in there really loose. And I just have so much more luck with this. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so we're going to start over here. So we're going to put it in here. And we're just going to halfway line it up all the way down. And then we're going to clip. But pins work just as easy. So if you're not a clipper, you're a pinner, that's fine too. Clips work just as easy. Especially a lot of these new sharp pins. I mean, pins are so sharp anymore. That's why Margie likes to get them in her feet. And then again, you just take this over and clip. And I usually do them all and then go back and sew just because I'm either sewing or I'm doing something else. I don't do one thing. I mean, because then I'm in the groove and I know where I want them to be. You could also sew on this side if you wanted them just perfect, but you'll get the same thing on this side. If you mark where you're sewing on this side, and then when you flip it over, you're gonna do the same thing, and then you'll have a really nice looking strap. And you don't have it where it's loose up here and tight here and loose and tight. If you sew a perfect seam, you can always get that strapping to work perfectly. But this is how I sew straps. And so next week, if we'd have, I mean, do you want to have the strappings done? So we move on and put the hardware in and then start sewing bag?
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
So sew around
Yeah.
all these pieces, just catch around the edge of all your quilted pieces that you've already marked. And then if you have trouble or if you have questions on the strapping, or if you want to do the strapping your own way, this is just the way I do it because it goes so fast and it's so much easier, I think, than trying to put a bodkin in a 58-inch tube and pull your strapping through. And somewhere it's tight and it pulls at your seams and somewhere it's loose. And I I've just always liked this method because you can take your thumb and you can get this just really nice and tight around there. And it looks nice because and you can, like I said, you can put it however far you want that seam to be. And then you'll just want to catch that right along that edge. And then however far you caught that, you'll want to sew on this side. And then you have a really nice strapping on the outside. Very little, except on your big long strapping, very little of the back strapping shows. It won't show much on your handle except the handle part, not on the down part. And on this will be pretty much against your bag, so it won't show much either. But alrighty, unfortunately, I gotta go to work. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Do not hesitate to let me know. But we'll have the strappings done. We'll have these pieces sewn, and we're gonna put on hardware right away on next Sunday, and then we're gonna start bagging it.
Okay,
So-
next Sunday I might not be on time, or I might not make it only because it's my grandson's birthday. So I'll just watch, yeah, he's having a
Absolutely.
big
Just like
party.
I said,
so-
family comes first, and you'll catch right up. You'll
Yeah, I'll
catch right
catch
up.
up. Exactly.
You
so-
betcha. You betcha.
Thank you.
All right. You
Thank
have a
you.
good night. All
Thank
right.
you.
Any questions? just
Enjoy.
let me-
Arms apart. Get it out. You have to leave.
Oh, I do. I'm still haven't joined.
I don't know what that was. You need to just turn that off.
You're still on, hon.
I'm gonna shut my phone.